Good afternoon. My name is Mike Phillips, President and CEO of the Scripps Howard Foundation. For more than 60 years, the Scripps Howard Foundation has been celebrating the very best work of journalists from across our nation. Our first award was named in honor of Scripps' own Ernie Pyle and continues to be given for the best in human interest writing. This program has grown and evolved until today. We have 15 categories, including our new award for digital innovation. Our first entries were most likely written in longhand or on a typewriter. Today, our winners create their material on some kind of computer, store it in the cloud, and transmit it wirelessly and instantly to their readers. Nevertheless, the core values of journalism have not changed: accuracy, fairness, context, storytelling, and a deep respect for the First Amendment. It is these values we celebrate this afternoon and again in a few weeks. Judges of our 2012 Scripps Howard Awards competition had high praise for this year's entrants and a difficult time naming winners and finalists. But their work is done, and here to announce the results are Carol Williams and Clyde Gray, co-anchors at Scripps television station WCPO in Cincinnati.
Thank you, Mike. And now for the winners and finalists. In the category for editorial writing, finalists are Andy Dominic of the Des Moines Register for a campaign to help Iowans secure health insurance, and Rebecca Troyer of the Daily Press in Newport News, Virginia, for a collection of editorials on the role of government. The winner of the Walker Stone Award for editorial writing and $10,000 is Tim Nickens of the Tampa Bay Times in St. Petersburg, Florida, for editorials on issues ranging from voter suppression to public health.
In the category for commentary, finalists are James E. Causey of the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, who called for a police chief's resignation and better health care for the poor, and Morgan Housel of the Motley Fool, who put politicians' election year claims into factual context. The winner of the Scripps Howard Award for commentary and $10,000 is 70-year-old James Carroll of the Boston Globe, whose columns brought historical perspective to 2012's headline news.
In the category for human interest storytelling, the judges selected just one finalist, ProPublica, for Finding Oscar: Massacre, Memory, and Justice in Guatemala by Sebastian Rotella, in collaboration with Ana Arana of Fundación MEPI, a news organization based in Mexico City. The winner of the Ernie Pyle Award for Human Interest Storytelling and $10,000 is Michael M. Phillips of the Wall Street Journal for War's Wake, a chronicle of America's newest post-war generation and the manner in which Iraq and Afghanistan have marked the nation's psyche.
In the category for breaking news, the sole finalist is New Jersey's Asbury Park Press for its coverage of Superstorm Sandy. The winner of the Scripps Howard Award for breaking news and $10,000 is the Denver Post for its coverage of the Aurora, Colorado theater shooting that left 12 dead and 58 injured.
In the environmental reporting category, the finalists are Lisa Song, Elizabeth McGowan, and David Hasmeyer of Inside Climate News for the Dilbit disaster, inside the biggest oil spill you've never heard of, and Abram Lustgarten of ProPublica for Injection Wells, the hidden risks of pumping waste underground. The winners of the Edward J. Meeman Award for Environmental Reporting and $10,000 are Kenneth R. Weiss and Rick Loomis of the Los Angeles Times for Beyond 7 Billion. Their 5-part series tackles the question, can we live sustainably on this planet, and for how long?
In the category that honors distinguished service to the First Amendment, the finalists are Scott Shane and Charlie Savage of the New York Times for the U.S. government's crackdown on leaks, and Danielle Ivory, Jim Snyder, Phil Mattingly, and Hans Nichols of Bloomberg News for Untangling the Freedom of Information Act, a test of Obama's transparency pledge. The winner of the Edward Willis Scripps First Amendment Award and $10,000 is the Wall Street Journal for Watched, an ongoing project that exposes secretive ways personal information is tracked and used by corporate data gatherers and government trackers.
In the photojournalism category, finalists are Rick Loomis of the Los Angeles Times for large projects such as Beyond 7 Billion and Daily Assignments, and Jahi Chikwendu of the Washington Post for images of post-war life in Iraq and everyday life in Washington, D.C. And the winner of the Scripps Howard Award for photojournalism and $10,000 is Lisa Krantz of the San Antonio Express-News for a portfolio that offered diversity of topic and approach from rural Texas to the national political stage and a mother's love for her son, a former soldier in Afghanistan.
In the category that honors business and economics reporting, the finalists are Jill Rippenhoff and Mike Wagner of the Columbus Dispatch in Columbus, Ohio, for credit scars. The winners of the William Brewster Stiles Award for Business and Economics Reporting and $10,000 are Lou Kilzer, Andrew Conte, and Jim Wilhelm of the Pittsburgh Tribune Review for Shadow Economy, which demonstrates how almost anyone can set up an offshore account and create a shell company.
In the category for community journalism, the finalists are Joycelyn Weiner, Ken Carlson, and Lauren Whaley of the California Healthcare Foundation at the Annenberg School for Communication and Journalism at the University of Southern California for Mental Breakdown, and Joy Blackburn of the Virgin Islands Daily News for Our Money, Their Failures. And the winner of the Scripps Howard Award for Community Journalism and $10,000 is Brandon Stahl of the Duluth, Minnesota News Tribune for Methadone, a Costly Fix. The series prompted calls for statewide reform in the treatment of drug addiction.
In the category that honors in-depth coverage by a radio station or network, the judges selected one finalist, Joe Shapiro of NPR, for human tissue donation. Winners of the Jack R. Howard Award for in-depth radio coverage and $10,000 are Robert Wildeboer and Kate Cahan of WBEZ Chicago Public Media for Grandma Can't Accept Your Calls. The series exposed excessive phone charges for inmates at Cook County Jail and led to a 75% cost reduction.
In the television cable category that honors excellence in local in-depth coverage, finalists are Craig Cheatham and Jim Thomas of KMOV-TV in St. Louis for War Zone, the destruction of an all-American city, and John Ferrugia, Arthur Kane, Jason Foster, and Jeff Harris of KMGH-TV in Denver for A Threat Ignored, the Aurora Theater shooting investigation. And the winner of the Jack R. Howard Award for local in-depth coverage and $10,000 is KMGH-TV in Denver for investigating the fire, which uncovered governmental mismanagement of a wildfire that took 3 lives and destroyed more than 20 homes. It's brought adequate compensation to victims and statewide reform.
In the television cable category that honors excellence in national and international in-depth coverage, finalists are Jill Rosenbaum of PBS Frontline and David Heath of the Center for Public Integrity for their collaborative entry, Dollars and Dentists. The winners of the Jack R. Howard Award for national or international in-depth coverage and $10,000 are John Carlos Fry, John Larson, and Brian Epstein of the PBS News magazine Need to Know and the Investigative Fund at the National Institute for their collaborative series Crossing the Line at the Border. Their documentation of abuses by the U.S. Border Patrol led members of Congress to call for an internal review and the United Nations to address what it called an international issue of concern.
In the first year of competition for journalistic excellence in digital innovation, finalists are ProPublica for developing news applications that gather, present, and analyze data for investigative stories, and Reuters for the wider image. The winner of the Scripps Howard Award for Digital Innovation and $10,000 is the New York Times for a portfolio of work that included Snowfall, which chronicled the harrowing story of 16 expert skiers caught in an avalanche at Tunnel Creek.
In the category for public service, the finalists are Allison Young and Peter Eisler of USA Today for Ghost Factories, and Sally Keston and John Maines of the Sun Sentinel in Fort Lauderdale, Florida for Above the Law, speeding cops. The winners of the Roy W. Howard Award for Public Service and $10,000 are Patricia Callahan, Sam Rowe, and Michael Hawthorne of the Chicago Tribune for Playing with Fire. Their series exposed how the chemical and tobacco industries waged a deceptive, decades-long campaign to promote the use of flame-retardant furniture. As a result, the U.S. Senate has held 2 hearings. The Environmental Protection Agency has begun a broad investigation, and an industry front group exposed by the Tribune has folded.
In the category for investigative reporting, we again recognize as finalists Allison Young and Peter Eisler of USA Today for Ghost Factories, and Sally Keston and John Maines of the Sun Sentinel in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, for Above the Law, Speeding Cops. And the winner of the Ursula and Gilbert Farfel Prize for Investigative Reporting and $15,000 is Spencer S. Sue of the Washington Post for Forensic Science, which exposed the Justice Department's use of flawed data in more than 20,000 criminal convictions. Congress, the courts, and the FBI have responded to the series, and now hundreds, if not thousands, of defendants will get another chance at justice.
Well, thank you, Carol and Clyde, and congratulations to the winners and the finalists. Cash awards and trophies will be awarded May 9th at the Waldorf Astoria in Naples, Florida, home of the Naples Daily News, a Scripps publication. After the awards dinner, I invite you to return to this YouTube channel or to the Scripps Howard Foundation Facebook page for features about each of the winning entries and for the winners' acceptance speeches. And I encourage you to enter your best work from 2013 in our next competition. The awards entry site will be ready to receive your entries on November 1.